Picture this: an elderly woman with an updo, support hose, and orthopedic shoes, and a ruthless, stone-faced redhead. What do these two have in common? They are both characters that my special guest, Kira Hartley Klinger, has encountered at auctions, and she's got some great stories for us. Today's guest is Kira Hartley Klinger. She is an author, internet reseller, and self-described frequent auction offender. For over 20 years, Kira has been running her Etsy shop, DodOddity, selling vintage fabrics and textiles with over 17,000 sales to date. But her real claim to fame is her book, Fabric Wars, which chronicles the wild, hilarious, and sometimes cutthroat world of estate auctions. From dealing with fabric thieves to battling ruthless competitors, Kira has seen it all, and I'm so excited because she's here with us today. Hey, Kira, how's it going?
It is going well. How are you today?
Not too bad, not too bad. I'm excited because we are going to get a little bit of your background here. Tell me more about your reselling business.
I got started in resale 2003 is when I first opened up my eBay account. And it was a few years before I really started selling full time. But yeah, it kicked off then. It became my full-time job. Gosh, I guess about 13 years ago. I finally quit all the other side hustles and was just involved with buying and selling. But it was a way to make extra money. You know, I got thrown into single parenthood at 40 and needed to come up with something clever and in a hurry. And why not? You know, I could buy things for cheap just to see what would happen.
That's amazing. It's nice when a side hustle can turn into a full-time job and you can just throw yourself into it. Yeah, I love
I
that.
100% agree. Yeah, didn't expect it. Did not expect it. Could not have predicted it. So
That's fantastic. And what is so interesting is that because you go to auctions, you encounter a whole bunch of different characters. So I feel like the stereotype with auctions is the auctioneer, the going once, going twice, the fast talking, but the real chaos is with some of the competitors that you encounter there. And you have some fantastic stories for us, including, let's see, our first fantastic character, an elderly woman with an updo, support pantyhose, orthopedic shoes, thieving Thelma. Sounds like the
the
last person who would be stealing anything, but she is. Can you
oh my gosh,
Thelma?
the the whole nine yards. Did not expect that to happen. And this was early in my buying and selling. I didn't sell fabric since the beginning. That happened accidentally. So this was in my early acquisitions of fabric. And not much has changed from then until now, to where if I find an auction that has fabric, I want to buy all of it. And I typically do buy all of it. Very few occasions that I don't. So I went to this auction, and auctioneers could not give a flying fig about fabric. Fabric is something that is in the backyard, stuffed in boxes. It's an afterthought. You know, there's this thing at auctions called row lots. And row lots are all the boxes that sit in rows in the backyard. It could have anything in it. It was the stuff that the auctioneer said, meh, put it in the back. You know, this is not worth money. The stuff that's worth money, I call it the big bucks table. You know, they've got the big canopy tent for the people that spend the most money, and the stuff in the backyard is always last. So there were lots and lots and lots of totes of fabric in the backyard, and most of them were in the same row. But off to the side in another row was one other tub of fabric. And these are these big, giant plastic tubs of fabric. There's a lot of fabric, you know.
Yeah.
So they run a strict schedule. They say, okay, we're going to sell outside from this time to this time. At noon, we're going to go inside the house and we're going to start selling the stuff in the house, because then they warm up to the big finale. Hey, we're going to sell the house. And then after they do all the big ticket items and people go home, then they get back to the stuff that's left in the backyard. So they're cruising along in the backyard, right? I bought every single box of fabric there was, and I'm just building this pile off to the side. We do that. We build stacks and piles, and normally people respect it. Not always true. Lots of stories there. But so I'm building this pile, and it gets to the point where there's just that one box of fabric left. But now they've decided we're going inside. It's like, come on, there's just one box left, But they stick to a time schedule, so all right, fine. So of course there's things in the house I'm interested in too. And up on the third floor in the attic, in this cramped, dank, dark space, there's also fabric stuffed in the eaves. So I'm like, okay, well, I got to go pluck that stuff out of the eaves. I have to buy that too. So we go inside. So as I mentioned, there have been instances where people have cherry picked from other people's piles after they bought it. And so I would kept going back downstairs or looking out windows trying to make sure that my pile was okay, So on one of my trips down, that box of fabric was gone. And I was like,
Oh my
where did
God.
it go? And I knew that they didn't sell it, but it's like, what the heck? So I started asking around. I'm like, okay, has anybody seen what happened to this box of fabric? And there was this young kid that came up to me, and I say young, I'm 58. Anybody that's under 35 is going to be young to me, but he's this like strapping young man. And he comes up to me, goes, yeah, that lady over there told me she bought it and asked me if I'd put it in her car. And I was like, seriously? So I look, it's this little old lady. I mean, she's got the skirt and, like you said, the updo and the orthopedic shoes. I mean, old lady to the hilt. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I went back all the way up to the attic because they were in the attic, and I told the auctioneer, I said, look, this is what's going on. And the kid followed me up the stairs. We're, trekking it up the stairs, and he comes up behind me and he's nodding and verifying everything that I'm saying because he doesn't want to get in trouble. He didn't know. And this little old lady is hot on her heels, 3 flights of stairs, and she's like right behind us, and she's pleading her case to the auctioneer, and she's calling him by name, and she's saying, you know me, you know what I bought. I only bought flowers, and I only bought crafts, and you know what I bought. You know me. And she's like begging, So they stop the auction. And they go downstairs to see what it's all about. And everybody that's up in the attic, their interest is piqued. They're like, oh my gosh, is this for real? So everybody goes outside, and we go down to the yard. And she is, again, she's keeping up with everybody. And she's right there in his face out in the yard, continuing, I didn't do it. This is all I bought. You know who I am. We've been, through auctions forever, whatever. So they walk out to her car with her, and there it is in the backseat of the car.
I can't believe it.
And then she gets mad. Okay.
Of course.
I describe it as the 5 stages of grief. So now she's in the anger phase, And so she turns on me and she points at me and she's like, she's buying all the fabric. I can't get any of the fabric. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, now it's my fault.
Yeah, it's my fault you stole my stuff. Okay.
So they threw her out, and this is an auction, like the yard was fenced off, and so they put her on the other side of the fence, this chain link fence, and locked it and shut it. And she's on the other side of the fence saying, you can't do this to me. You cannot throw me out. And the daughter of the estate, she comes up to the woman and she like puts her hands on her hips and she says, oh, yes, we can. It's just like, oh my gosh. Yeah, it was wild. It was totally wild.
And like a little old lady, like the last person that you would expect it from, and she pulled all these manipulation tactics. I mean, it's so crafty,
I know.
You just, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I am used to annoying, the little old ladies because there's a lot of grandmothers and quilters and people that show up hoping to get the fabric for cheap. And I admit that I'm a little ruthless. I kind of want it all, but I don't come across fabric collections that often. So when I find it, it's like, well, sorry, I do my job, my business, whatever.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But
if you want some fabric, they can just buy it off you from Etsy. There you go.
right, and I should have given her a business card. Missed opportunity.
Just a missed opportunity.
Opportunity.
But it's funny because sometimes it's like the people that you least expect. Like speaking of like older ladies, like I remember I was there was like a table of older ladies that had come in for lunch, and one of them had ordered, she told me it was like chicken and a Caesar salad. And so I brought out the chicken and the Caesar salad. And then my boss was there actually that day. And then she's like, I didn't order this. I'm like, no one, you said chicken and Caesar salad. She's like, but I said fries. And I'm like, and you can just see it in their eyes. I'm like, what are you doing? What is this?
There's
It's
a big difference between fries and chicken and it. Yeah.
and Caesar salad, but you know what? It's just, I guess, the nature of things. Maybe as you get older in that age, you feel like, hey, maybe I can get away with some stuff. No one will suspect it.
Right, exactly. Who's going to suspect me? You know,
Exactly.
I mean, I would have never picked her out.
That's
So,
crazy. She stole your fabric, crazy. But like I said, the chaos at auctions. And there is another character that earned 2 chapters in your book. That's incredible. This must be quite the individual. I'd like to talk about Krabby Patty. I love that
oh
name. It
my gosh.
reminds me of SpongeBob SquarePants. So I
Yeah.
want to hear all about her.
Now, she's one of those people that I didn't expect. You know, usually, like I said, I don't have that much competition with the fabric, nothing that I can't handle. And I showed up at this auction. It was supposed to be a 2-day event, like a week apart or something, I don't know. And yeah, like half the room was full of tables of fabric. It was everywhere. I was like, oh my gosh. And of course I see people that I recognize and they see me and there's the usual like, oh, she's here, you know. But I went into it, I was not that concerned about it. So my positioning at an auction is that I have to be upfront. I want the auctioneer to see me from the first time I bid and to remember me and to look at me to make sure I'm done bidding before they quit. You know, I need to be in their face.
Right.
So I'm right up there when it starts and really not even, again, thinking twice about it. I typically can expect to pay nowadays anywhere between $50 and $75 for a box of fabric. That's usually my comfort zone. So, and I'm sure other people do this as well. But another tactic I use is that usually the first round, I will pay whatever it takes to get that box of fabric, to get my choice. What they do is they set up the table or the area. Maybe there's a dozen boxes, and whoever has the highest bid can pick as many as they want times that bid.
Okay.
So, you know, I aim to have the highest bid first so that the second round, people are like, well, we know where she's going to go, forget it, and they bow out.
Okay.
It's effective price 75% of the time. Sometimes there's a monkey wrench. So Krabby Patty was a monkey wrench.
Seriously.
You know, I'm there in my jeans with holes in the knees, my Converse tennis shoes, my Harley Davidson t-shirt. I have a ponytail. You know, she's dressed for church. You know, she's got this short cut red hair. She's probably a little younger than me, but she's looking nice. You know, I mean, I'm there to get dirty. So she's bidding against me, and we get up to that $50 mark. We're still going. I'm like, huh, okay. We get up to that $100 mark, and everybody else is just like watching right now. They're in the background, kind of going, ooh, you know. We get to 125, still going. It took to like $200 to get that first bid, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like I've never spent this much for a box of fabric in my life. So now I got to pick. Now I'm like, okay, maybe there was just one box that she was like attached to for whatever reason, you know. But I want to pick that box so that she doesn't do this to me again. But I don't know what to pick. They're all good.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, all right, forget it. I just pick a box. And I'm not picking all, no way. So they start the bidding again. It goes up just as high. I'm like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. And so it went back and forth and back and forth. And she was winning some and I was winning some. But the tally in my brain was like, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay for this auction?
Yeah.
So there are these people that they hire at the auction. I don't know why it keeps doing that. There's these people that they hire at the auction. I call them the henchmen.
Okay.
And they are there. They're the helpers to the auctioneer. And when there are people that are bidding hot and heavy and buying a lot of things, they don't want to interrupt the sale for that person to go put their stuff in a pile. So the henchmen will start taking people's things and they'll start a pile for that person, and that becomes their job. Okay. I don't trust the henchmen. I don't think they really care whose pile it goes into.
Oh my gosh.
So there's always a little bit of skepticism on my part. So there's this perpendicular wall, and my stuff is stacked on one side of it, and her stuff is stacked on the other side. Not one other person bought anything in the fabric department. It was me or her.
Wow.
So we get through the fabric, and they go off to sell yarn. She goes with them to buy yarn. I don't care about yarn. That's not my thing. So I'm just kind of walking around and going past her pile. I'm not touching. That's like, you don't touch each other's stuff. I get it. I'm looking because I want to make sure that nothing of mine is in her pile,
You paid like $200 for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I have spent so much money. If I want to make sure I get everything I paid for. So I'm just casually strolling past her pile, And all of a sudden, from across the room, I mean, this is a big building. She's clearing the other side. I hear, "Hey!"
Oh.
And I look, everybody looks, and she's like, "I don't appreciate that." I was like, "Appreciate what?" And I was like, "I was just looking."
Yeah.
And so I kind of like slink away. And there's this group of women that are sitting in chairs, and previously they did not like me and they did not like her because they were not getting anything, But now I've just been scorned by this redheaded lady who skipped church to come to an auction. And I sit down in the chair with all these other women, and I'm like, who peed in her Cheerios? And all of a sudden, we're like all friends. And all of a sudden they're on my side. Yeah, what's wrong with her? So I spent like a record amount at this sale. I spent so much money. And so all the way home, I'm going over in my head, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot go back to the next sale. I cannot spend any more money. I just can't. And then it's like, but if I don't and she does, she's going to get it all for cheap. And it's like, I got to go back to the next sale.
Yeah. Got to stand your ground.
I know. So I come back to the next sale, and this is the next chapter. We have Krabby Patty, and then the next chapter is called Honest Abe. So I come back, and it's the same thing all over again. The only thing I can say is I think that each of us showed a little bit more restraint. I think we were both a little wounded after the first time, But it was still mostly me and her. Some people got a little bit, but it was still mostly us. I still spent just as much money. Maybe I got a little more. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So same thing. I'm looking at the different piles. But this time, I notice in my pile are 2 big boxes that she won. And I'm like, oh, man. It's like, ugh. It's like, what do I do? It felt like a gift from the heavens.
The universe was like winking at you, but
yes. But in the back of my brain is my mother's voice, and she's going, "Now, Kira." I'm like, oh, fine. So I walk across the room, tap her on the shoulder. She turns around, and nobody's more surprised to see me than her. And she says, "Yes."
Oh, no.
And she has her husband there with her. My husband in the book is called Helper because he's like the best auction companion. He's my helper. She's got her helper. I don't know what he is. He's not my helper. But he's standing there like his bodyguard, her bodyguard, And he's kind of looking at me. And I said, I think one of your boxes is in my pile. And she's like, "It is." I said, "I think so." So she walks across the room with me, her fake helper's in tow. They walk over there, and really, I don't know what he thinks I'm going to do to her, but anyway, we walk across the room, and I go, "I think that one's yours." She looks at me, she looks at the box, and she goes, "It is." And just like silence, it was almost worth it just to have this humbled look on her face. So her husband picks up the box, and underneath it I said, "I think that one's yours too."
Oh.
And she looks, and she's,
person.
I know, right? I'm going to heaven. I sealed it, right? So she looks, and she goes, "It is mine." I'm like, okay. And so she just quietly, she goes, "Thank you."
Oh.
And I was like, wow. How bad did that one hurt?
Yes.
So, I called my mom on the way home just because I had to be like, okay, mom, I did it. I was good. I gave it
Yeah.
back to her. But,
I did the right thing.
it was so painful. It was so hard to do. Um, but yeah, this was several years ago, and I have not seen her since. I have not seen her at another auction, but every time a
Oh,
big fabric sale comes up,
yeah.
I have like anxiety attacks the night before. I mean, there's this thing, I call it crashing and burning in this
Okay.
business. There's people out there that think that buying and selling is easy money. They think
Mhm.
that it's just, oh, I'm just going to do that for, it'll be fun. I knew this, I didn't know them. A long time ago, there was a couple that started to show up at all these auctions and they would buy absolutely everything they could get their hands on.
Yeah.
And the rumor was that they had won the lottery and they thought that it was a really good way to invest their money and get like a big return.
Really?
And then they disappeared because they went broke. They
Oh,
had all this stuff that they didn't know how to sell, didn't know if it was worth anything, whatever. Krabby Patty, she had been passing around like business cards at the auctions, which was kind of weird. She had opened up this shop with her sister in this tiny little town that was 5 miles away from Joann Fabrics, and she thought that she was going to have like this cute little country fabric store, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I sell all over the world, and this was like 4 years ago, and I'm still selling stuff from that estate.
yeah.
So I'm not quite sure what she thought. It was also kind of weird that she was handing out business cards to people that she just beat out of winning something. Oh, I'm really sorry that you didn't win that box of yarn, but I have a whole stock of yarn in my shop, and the piece you wanted might show up. So here's my card.
Yeah,
You know, it's
exactly.
it
And you
just
can
is kind
pay
of
three
weird.
times the price for it when you come to my shop.
Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of feel like Krabby Patty crashed and burned
Oh,
is what my heart tells me. So it's
yeah.
not kind, but I don't need her in my life. I just
Yeah.
don't.
So were you able to recoup like the all the money that you had spent? Because it sounds like it was a really expensive couple of auctions if she was just, driving up the price.
It really was. I probably spent probably $5,000 between the two auctions.
Oh my gosh.
Um, and when you're selling fabric for, you know, geez, I mean, I sell fat quarters, which is a quarter yard of fabric for $4 to $8, depending on what era it is, but it's nickel and dime. I
Right.
make money on Etsy every single day,
Mhm.
but there's probably 30 to 40 estates working together at the same time.
Wow.
So, like I said, I'm still selling fabric from that estate. So yes, I've made money, but it's not, it doesn't pay me back that way overnight. It only
Right.
pays me back because I'm constantly doing it and there's so many different collections in my shop.
Wow. So
So,
I guess it's more of like a volume game when on Etsy with fabric. Yeah.
yes, the more I have, the more people will fill a cart and, but that cart could be full of fabric from years worth of collecting.
Holy smokes. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's sad to hear that some of these people like I mean, I guess one of my questions to you is some of these like not the greatest interactions, like have there ever been moments where it's like, okay, now we sort of like squashed it and now we're sort of like friends, or do a lot of these people just not come back like Krabby Patty?
I don't think Krabby Patty and I will ever be friends, even if I see her again. I just don't. But yes, in the auction arena, I like to think that we're all friends, and a lot of us, because I don't just buy and sell fabric. I've been on eBay forever. I buy and sell anything and everything. And I know a lot of people that do the same thing. And so when we come together, we'll recognize each other. We'll have small talk. We'll act stupid and, oh, how's business? But we all know that we stalk each other's pages and know exactly how business is. So, but I mean, I don't know. I think that we're competitive, but I think that we also have our own lanes a lot of times. I think we respect each other's lanes. I think that we respect when somebody else makes a profit off of something we also wanted because we know that we're going to buy something and sell something. It's back and forth.
Yeah.
And same with the auctioneers. Most of the auctioneers I get along with famously. I mean, they have a million quirks and stories behind them. But there are
Yeah.
some auctioneers that I just won't even do business with anymore. There are some out there that are so shady, it's not even funny.
Oh my gosh.
Um, but yeah, it's fun. it's
It,
it's the
it's
best part of what I do.
it sounds like so much fun. Like There's another auction character, Playboy Pete. I'm really curious about him because how are you going to be a playboy at an auction? You know what I mean? Like you're there to bid for
Oh my
stuff,
gosh.
and was that how he was getting all his stuff? He would like swoon the ladies and then grab everything while they were distracted.
He was an auctioneer. He is an auctioneer.
Oh, he's an auctioneer.
He's an auctioneer.
Oh,
Yeah. And he's been in business a long time. He's the old timer, and his sons now have taken over. He has retired, but he still likes the social aspect of it. So he'll walk around and put his arm around you. Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. You know, he's everybody's friend, right? So, and I was feeding into it. He was kind of like a grandpa to me, you know.
right.
I was like, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So I went to this one auction, and this was, it was during COVID, and Ohio only respected COVID briefly. As
Okay.
soon as they, yeah, as soon as they like got rid of the no public gathering ban,
Yeah.
they immediately started auctions back up again. Even though COVID was still killing people,
Yeah.
they, you know, as soon as they lifted that ban, they're like, okay, we're back at it.
Right. Yeah.
So this was the first auction that I had gone to, and this one is called Milk House Mayhem in the book. And it was on a rural country estate. Everybody was wearing masks, you know. And I just kept to the back. I would come forward when it was time to bid, but mostly I hung back because they didn't care. Everybody was congregating.
Yeah.
Well, Playboy Pete wore no mask. He was not going to be,
It's funny.
you know. So I got myself, there's always a food cart. I don't usually eat at auctions. One, because my hands are usually filthy. And two, because I don't have time. I'm too busy. I'm on the go. I just, you know, they had fried bologna, and I can't say no to fried bologna. And this was fried German bologna, so it was
Ooh,
different.
yeah.
Yeah, it was so good. And the guy had homemade ice cream. So I'm like, okay, it's like a double whammy.
Yeah,
Like, you know.
exactly.
So I got my fried bologna and I got my chocolate ice cream, and I find this corner and I just go off by myself, and I'm mouthful of food, no mask. Playboy Pete, he comes along in your face. He's not somebody that can just talk to you from a distance. He has to get real close, you know.
Yeah.
So, hey, how you doing? Great. Trying to eat, trying not to be rude, but I'm leaning back as I'm talking. And he says, you know, the darndest thing happened the other day. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And again, this is my grandfather. I'm expecting to hear, you know, not what came out of his mouth. And he said, I got a letter in the mail telling me that my Playboy magazine subscription was going digital. And I was like, okay. And he's like, and I have been a subscriber. He goes, I've gotten that magazine for years. And he says, and I don't know what to tell him. So I'm like, well, I want my money back. and he goes, and 2 weeks later, I got a check in the mail. And I was like, no way. And I was like, okay, can you go away now? And I was like, ever since then, I have not been able to look at him the same way. I just can't. I mean, it's like, okay, I don't care to conversate because I don't know what's coming out of your mouth next. But yeah, he is somebody that I see frequently. And there was another auction that I went to called, it's called Right Hook, because I had gone to the dentist before this auction, and I don't know what that dentist did to me. I think he used my face to like brace himself or something, but I was black and blue all up and down, you know.
Oh, God.
I looked like I'd gotten like beaten by a husband or something. So I know. So I go to this auction.
Now you're at an auction.
Right, exactly. And I don't know. I like to get favoritism from the auctioneers. And I'm like, okay, we have rapport, me and him. You know, I mean, we get along pretty well. So, you know, he's going to see my face and he's going to feel extra sorry for me, and it's going to be completely my day.
Yes.
You know? He was such a grump that day. And I don't know if it's because I didn't listen to his Playboy stories sincerely. But yeah, no, there was something I was trying to get moved forward because I wanted to bid on it and go. It was late in the day, and I don't know. It was just a long story short. He did me no favors that day, and he grumped at me in front of everybody. And so, yeah, I guess we're not friends anymore. But
Yes. It's funny because I feel like maybe like, because at the restaurant I work at, we have like a lot of older retired clientele, and it's like they get more like sensitive as they get much older. Like there's this like older retired gentleman that comes in, and he sort of like, I don't know, gives me a little bit of the creeps. So I just go in and try to do my job. Like, hey, can I get your order? Like, I don't like to do too much of the chit chatty thing. And then, and then one day I went up to him. I had heard something from someone that he was like watching an inappropriate video on his phone while he was
Oh
at the
no.
restaurant, and another customer saw and told the server. So I just felt extra creeped out. So I tried to make it like fast. And then he was like not impressed. He's like, "Oh, we're just doing this," like as if to say like, "Oh, you don't want to talk to me," sort of thing. And it's sort of like, "No, I don't want to talk to
Not
you."
really.
Something in them, like their feelings get hurt. Like we have to just be like, "Oh my gosh, Playboy, that's, I can't believe they did that. Like, what did you want me to say?" You know what I
I
mean?
know. They just I don't know. And you're going to put forth this great big effort, and for what? I mean, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah,
I think a lot of the older generation, especially men,
yeah.
leave really crappy tips. So, so what am I working for here?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think their like maybe mentality is stuck in, I guess, like the times when it was like, oh, hey, 5%, 10%. And so you're doing all this work and it's like, you know, a lot. And then they're just like, okay, well, here you go.
Right.
Like
Okay,
$5
bye.
for you. And I'm like, but I just served like a table of 8 people. Come on, please. Why? But such is
Yeah.
life.
My
Such is
two
life.
sons had a paper route growing up, and I helped them. We would deliver 200 newspapers every single day
Yeah,
before school, like at
yeah.
5 in the morning. And this went on for 4 years, barely any days off because it was 365 days a year. And they had this one customer, and he was an older gentleman, and he used to want in a bag hanging on the door, and then make sure you shut the door tight. Like he had a grocery sack hanging on the storm door, right?
Yeah.
And so he wanted the newspaper in a bag that we provided and then stuck inside that bag, and make sure you shut the door tight.
So
I mean,
that
my
newspaper
sons,
had to be crisp. It had to be like
it, it'd be
perfect.
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 My sons are 36 and 39, and they
Yeah.
still recite in a bag, shut the door tight. I mean, it just was like, yeah, they were 9 and 12 when they did this paper route.
Oh, they were little
So
guys.
they were little guys. So it's Christmas time, and most of their customers treat them really well. They give them
Yeah.
cookies, they give them gifts, they give them money. They had like $1,200 worth of money for Christmas the first year, and this was in the 90s. That was a lot of money,
That's a lot. Yes.
Yeah, and so this guy meets my son outside, and he shakes his hand and wishes him a Merry Christmas, and he pulls out his wallet, and he's flipping through 20s, until he gets to a dollar bill. And he pulls out the dollar bill and he hands it to my son. He says, "Here, share this with your brother." And my son is like,
50
"Wow."
cents each?
Oh,
Jeez.
fuck. And he doesn't tip throughout the year. That was for the whole year of service of in a bag, shut the door tight for a
Oh my
buck.
gosh.
So,
I grew up in the 90s and I used to get more from the Tooth Fairy. Like, seriously, like a dollar, so 50 cents each for your sons. It's just, that's,
yeah.
and he's probably like, I'm the most generous human. Look at all the money I'm giving you. Oh, those poor kids.
Oh, so bad. Yeah. But, it's kind of funny because all three of us, in some regard, are in customer service now as
It's
adults.
true. Yeah,
So, I mean, something to be said, I guess.
for
Uh,
sure. Yeah. I think all this sort of behavior that we witness on a day to day also teaches us how to be better, kinder people, because you're like, I would not want that sort of treatment, or I would not want to be like that to somebody else. So, maybe they're doing us a favor.
uh, in a really weird roundabout way.
In a really weird way. I love it. I love it.
The hard lessons of life.
Lessons of life. And
Yeah.
then we got time for one more. I really want to hear about Yard Cop and patrolling everybody. And
Okay. So, yeah. He and this is funny. I started to write about this chapter how one day I want to be the person that has a mobility scooter, just because I seriously want a legitimate, solid reason to where I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, but it doesn't have to be for real. I appreciate the fact that people need one. I just want people to think I need one, because I'm just so busy. It's a luxury.
Yes.
So we go to this auction, and this house right next door to where the auction, he's completely sectioned off by caution tape, and it's a big yard.
Yes.
He doesn't want anybody parking anywhere near his grass. He doesn't want anybody walking across his grass, and he is on one of those mobility scooters, and he's patrolling his fence row as people are coming to the auction.
Oh.
Yeah. And meanwhile, his house is immaculate. There is not a weed in his grass. His grass is perfectly mowed, maintained. And again, it's a big yard.
Yeah.
He has beautiful pink phlox billowing from his porch steps and around the front porch. I mean, it's an immaculate property.
Yes.
So I'm thinking to myself, do you hire people, or is this scooter just for show? Because it's a lot of work.
Of course.
So I'm collecting my pile, unaware that my pile has ever so slightly crept across the line, because his caution tape ends like at this house's garage.
Oh,
And so I'm on the side property of this garage, which apparently was smaller than I thought it was,
Yeah.
because my stuff was ever so slightly on his side. And he scooted around the property and came up to me and said, "Would you please get your pile off my lawn?" Okay. Sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know. So I move it off of his lawn, and I, push it over and whatnot. And as I'm doing so, I'm chatting him up, because I'm always trying to give people the benefit of the doubt. So I'm striking up conversations. I'm saying, "Man, your phlox, they're amazing." It's like, I have phlox too, but mine are purple. And he's like, "Yeah." And then he starts telling me about the care of the phlox, and his wife suddenly joins the conversation, and we're talking about flowers and phlox. And then I go into your grass. Wow. And I start pumping his ego about the grass. So by the time I've moved my pile, we're friends. We're talking about grandkids. We're talking about the camp we have on the farm. We're talking about the transit bus that I painted. It's like we've told each other our life stories in the course of about 15 minutes. So it's time to go in the house and go downstairs. And this was one instance where I was not worried about my pile, because Yard Cop knew it was all mine, and Yard Cop was now my friend.
He was keeping an eye on things. Yeah.
And I did not worry about my pile any further. So.
Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. My brother-in-law had a neighbor who was a little bit like Yard Cop without the scooter, but you couldn't even, if you had to, let's say, reverse and your tire went a little bit onto his driveway, onto the neighbor's driveway, like he was just like at the window and did not appreciate it. Like you could not set anything on his property. Couldn't breathe wrong in that direction. So it can be like actually really stressful, but they're so, protective of it, because I guess they work hard for it.
Exactly. And the lady next door, he told me, he said, he says, "I've lived here since I was a child." The lady next door that died, whose estate it was, she said she was like a grandmother to me, And it was funny because her yard had bare patches everywhere and dandelions everywhere, and I do not know how they did not migrate onto his property. It must have been like a constant internal battle for him. Every time the wind blew, he'd be like, "Oh no!" And so he told me, he says, "I tried for years to get her to spray, and she just didn't want anything to do with the chemicals." So I'm sure he was hoping for a better neighbor, grass wise.
Yes. I love it. Well, I love all these stories. I love hearing about these auctions. What do you have planned? What are some of your future endeavors? Are we still doing auctions? Are you writing another book? Are we moving on to other platforms to sell fabric?
My gosh. It's ongoing. I mean, I do have a third book in the series. I kind of always saw it as a trilogy.
Yeah.
And, there's always a subtitle with my books. It's like Fabric Wars, the hunt for vintage fabric, and then Fabric Wars and more, the hunt continues, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, the last one I'm really leaning towards Fabric Wars Galore, and the subtitle is The Deader the Better. And it sounds really bad. And so I keep going back to, is this really gauche, or can I really get away with saying this?
Yeah.
But I have so many stories about how difficult it is to buy things from the living versus buying things from the dead.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, those are a whole nother slew of stories.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that. I'm working on, of all things, completely different, a children's book series, but that's kind of like my retirement plan.
Yeah.
One day I think I might retire, maybe.
Yeah. That's lovely. You have 8 grandchildren?
8, yeah.
8. And what age range of grandkids?
Uh, they are between the ages, well, the twins are turning 6
Yeah.
this month, and then the oldest is 13.
Is 13. So those children's
13.
books are perfect. You can read to them. That's a wonderful, wonderful project to be taken on. I love this. I loved having you on my show, Kira. You're just such a breath of fresh air. I love talking to you about all of your fabric wars. Where can people get the book if they're interested? Is it on Amazon?
They are, yes, they're both on Amazon.
Yeah.
If you happen to be a fabric junkie, or you know somebody who is and you're thinking about giving it as a gift, if you go to my shop on Etsy, DodOddity, then I can sign the books there, inscribe them, whatever, and can go that route too. So either one.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I will put all that information in the description for all the listeners. If you're interested, please check it out. Kira, thank you so much for being here with me today. And thank you to everybody listening. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for having me. It's
You're
fun.
welcome.